when you are in a moment and there's all this stuff going on and it's stressful and there's logistics and there's timing and there's this and that and the other thing, and that can easily determine and dictate what your day is going to look like.
Yeah.
Instead, pause and say, let joy be my compass.
You know, you have a saying that I think there's so much wisdom in and has become a guiding principle for me, and that is let joy be your compass.
Yes.
Can you tease out for us what that means and how we can use that as our North Star?
So when Jeff and I are on a shoot, because we're photographers, and we are kind of stuck on what we want to do next, where do we want to go for our next photograph, our next setup? Then we'll pause and we'll say, okay, let joy be our compass, because there are so many things going on in the moment. There's lighting, there's location, there's timing, there's our couple, there's logistics, and we can easily let that take over and decide what we are going to do for our next setup. But what we found is when we pause and we say, what does joy want me to do? And get back to the heart of why we're there, then the next photograph we take is usually amazing. It's the one that feels right, that makes sense, and that brings out everything that we're trying to capture in that moment. And so that is so easy to take from a photo shoot into real life. When you are in a moment and there's all this stuff going on and it's stressful and there's logistics and there's timing and there's this and that and the other thing, and that can easily determine and dictate what your day is going to look like.
Yeah.
Instead, pause and say, let joy be my compass. What if I let joy guide me right now? What would I do?
Yeah.
Where would that take me? And that curiosity is magical.
Wow. I think some people might think it's self-indulgent or illogical. What would you say to them?
I would say that when you are in tune with your joy, then I would say that you're actually tuning into your personal vision for what you want to bring about in your life. And I think that that intentionality is going to be really, really important when you get a few years down the road and you look back and you say, did I live with intention or did I not? Because when you just let your day-to-day tasks and activities determine what you do every day, then you're going to turn around and say, did what I do really matter in the long run? Or am I really happy with how the last few years went? Do I want to bring that into my future with me? Instead, you could look behind and say, wow, I really took in each moment. I really savored my life, and I really did something that mattered to me and mattered to my family or mattered to my business or mattered to those around me.
Yeah. I love it so much too, because checking in with our joy and leading with that is something always at our disposal. And, if we're living with more joy, it rubs off on other people and there are ripples. So I just think that it's such a positive way of looking at decision making.
I 100% agree.
For people who aren't really in touch with what brings them joy, how might they start?
I think that it's a practice. For sure. I think if you do it and it's the first time you've ever done it and it feels uncomfortable, that makes sense. You're like, okay, what is my joy? What does that mean? What does that look like? But I think that the intentionality of sitting there and saying, okay, what is my joy right now? What is going to bring me a spark of happiness? Or what is it that I want? It's your desire. It's your longing. What do you desire your life to be? What do you long for in your life? Is it closer relationships? Is it connecting with your kids more? Is it having more time to sit and read a book? Is it having less stress in your life? What is it that you long for? And that really is that joy. And so when you stop and ask that question at first, it might be feel silly. It might feel uncomfortable. And you might not get an answer that you feel really satisfied with. Yeah. But the more that you do it, the more you practice it, and the more you stop and ask yourself, what is my joy? What do I want? Then I think it's going to start coming out and it's going to start revealing itself. And then I think you'd be surprised at the kind of things you discover about yourself, the exciting things that you discover that you really want.
Yeah. When you're tapping into joy spontaneously in the moment, is there anything in your body that you look to as signals, or is this a slower, more contemplative process? What's it like for you physically?
Yeah, I think now that I'm more used to it and I can identify it, I do feel it's a sense of calm. It's a sense of peace almost. If there's any stress involved with it, if there's any anxiety or anything like that, that's a clue to me that, okay, there's something else going on. So if I notice that happening, then I'm like, okay, is that really my joy, or is that just what I feel like I should be doing? Or is there a should happening somewhere in there? Instead, joy is something that feels compelling. Almost like it's pulling a little bit. And so that's the best way for me to describe it. And I really think it's this sense of just kind of calm and like a little bit of a deep breath is how I would describe it.
Yeah. Is there an example of a way you've used joy to be your compass outside of photography that you can share to make it a little more tangible for us?
I think it comes into play with my son a lot when I'm hanging out with him. He's 8 months old right now, and he's a handful, and he's such a happy baby. And there are so many times when there's dishes in the sink, there's stuff everywhere, there's laundry to be done, and that is all important things. I need to get those things done and do them. But there are plenty of moments where I let that anxiety kind of build up, and then I have to stop and I look at him and I'm like, he's only going to be 8 months for a month of his life. So let me look at his face and say, let joy be my compass in this moment. And it's a very clear direction. Hang out with my son. What does that mean? Does that mean go on a walk? Does it mean just sit and play with him? Does it mean read him a book? Does it mean do dishes and have him with me and, make it a game or make him part of the family and part of the chores? There's all different options, but it helps realign my mindset and my priorities.
Yeah. Well, Erin, thank you so much for sharing this tool with us. I can't think of a more positive way to make decisions. That's always with us. And thank you for sharing your joy with us today.
Oh, thank you. I'm really honored that you asked me and that you're having me here.